Chapter 65. First Battle Success. At this time, Kang Chuan on the side, but whispered to Xiaojin on his shoulder. Nowadays, people are really more and more shameless. People obviously don't want to go, but also dead rely on here. Xiaojin you can't learn from these people in the future. Z. Little Gold squeaked and scratched his ears. Pfft. The opposite side of the room, Huoqianrong couldn't help but cover her mouth and laugh lightly. Then realizing that she had lost her temper, she hastily adjusted her emotions, but there was still laughter in her eyes. Although Kang Chuan's voice was low, but which one in the restaurant was not an expert, naturally they all heard it clearly. Haha. To think that someone provoked Wu Fei. Now there's a good show to watch. A brat who doesn't know the heights of heaven. I'm afraid he's only just stepped into the cultivation realm. This son comes from an unusual background. I'm afraid his strength is not weak. The people in the restaurant were talking, making Wu Fei's face very ugly. Wu Fei's face instantly sank. A hint of sinister flashed in his gaze, and he said in a cold voice, "Kid, what did you say? Have the guts to say it again." "Huh, why are you so nervous? It's not like I said anything about you. Could it be that you are also like this?" Kang Chuan was surprised at his words, and this innocent expression attracted even more light laughter from the beautiful person opposite him. The crowd in the restaurant also laughed. Looking for death, Wu Fei was instantly infuriated. A finger pointed towards Kang Chuan. The tip of his finger shot out a brilliant sword on. The sharp cauldron made people's hearts tremble. The crowd was astonished, worthy of being a 5-turn Qingdan expert, casually striking out with great strength. Kang Chuan was also shocked in his heart. This Wu Fei's strength is very powerful, stronger than that black-robed man from the corpse-catching sect. I heard that he has formed a 5-turn Qingdan. It is really not to be underestimated. Between thoughts, Kang Chuan swung his overlord fist. A fist blasted out. The volatile energy struck a blazing light and collided with that radiant sword chi. Only an explosive sound was heard as the flashy youth was shaken back several steps by Kang Chuan's fist energy. The crowd in the restaurant was instantly shocked and looked at this scene incredulously. Hua Huanyong also looked at Kang Chuan in surprise. This youth in front of her became more and more unfathomable. That punch just now made her unsure of resisting it. "Kid, you seek death." Wu Fei realized that he was actually forced back by Kang Chuan's punch. His eyes instantly revealed a burning rage, his powerful Jiden stage aura completely erupting out. Kang Chuan snorted coldly, and the same aura erupted. "The two of you please also stop. The Haoyu residence does not allow martial arts." Just when the two sides' chi was uncontrollable, a pale voice came out, like a hammer knocking heavily on the hearts of the crowd. Everyone was instantly shocked. This was an absolute strong person. Wu Fei's brows wrinkled, knowing that this was an expert of the Haoyu residence at that moment. He said in a cold voice to Kang Chuan, "Kid, if you have the guts to come out and fight. Someone is looking for a fight. I am happy to serve." Kang Chuan snorted coldly. "Then let's see who beats who." Wu Fei sneered and walked out of the restaurant. "I've dragged the Duke into this," Flower Thinking Wrong said with a shameful look on her face. "It's not in the way." Kang Chuan smiled and shook his head as he walked out of the restaurant with Flower Thinking Wrong. When the crowd saw that there was a good show to watch, they all hurriedly followed the entire restaurant. All of a sudden, the building was empty, so angry that the treasurer of the Haoyu residence cursed Wu Fei's ancestors all over again. In a martial arts arena within the Haoyu residence, Kang Chuan and Wu Fei were locked in a cold stare down. Both sides looked very grave, and a tense atmosphere was spreading around them. Outside the arena, countless pairs of eyes were staring at the two youths on the martial arts arena, and the murmurs were endless. In the cultivation world, things often happened when cultivators fought with each other because of their words. And this martial arts arena was built long ago by the Haoyu residents, specifically for cultivators to settle disputes with each other. Moreover, this martial arts arena is surrounded by a formation ban. The power below the Yuanying stage cannot destroy the martial arts arena. The crowd can rest assured in the face to watch. At this moment, Kang Qian had already taken out the black long knife behind his back. His gaze was cold as he looked at Wu Fei on the opposite side. His eyes were filled with a shocking battle intent. This would be his first battle, he came out of the heavy iron city, and he would go all out. With the appearance of the long black blade, the crowd outside the field immediately felt a majestic aura emerge from Kang Qian, like a shocking wave, raging towards the surroundings. What a strong aura! This youth is definitely not simple. There were older generation experts in the crowd who marveled. A glimmer of light flashed in Wu Huanyong's beautiful eyes. In the arena, the tense atmosphere was instantly pushed to the peak. Wu Fei's eyes were heavy. At this moment, he had calmed down and knew that he had kicked the bucket this time. However, he didn't regret it. He who had practiced the 5 turns of Green Dan had absolute confidence. "Are you ready?" Kang Qian asked coldly. If the two sides were enemies, he would definitely strike the first time. He wouldn't remind the other side. But with so many people watching, it would be a bit of a sneak attack if he did so. HMPH. Kang Qian's well-intentioned reminder was taken as an insult by Wu Fei. He thought that Kang Qian had underestimated him. At that moment, he snorted coldly. The light around his body was displayed. A vast energy fluctuation spread out, and a terrifying aura shrouded the entire fighting arena. "Kid, next you will suffer the price of arrogance." Wu Fei laughed coldly, energy surging and raging around his body. Swish! Greeting his words was a radiant yellow blade aura. The Kangshan blade slashed out like a river, cutting across the void with unrivaled might. The air around him vibrated, making a whimpering sound under this blade. Sculptor's little skill. Wu Fei smiled disdainfully. His hands flew in a series of circles, punching out a mysterious seal. His body was enveloped by a green light, like a blazing green sun. The dazzling light drove away the darkness in the surroundings. Under this blazing light, before Kang Qian's blade-ons could approach Wu Fei even a zhong away, they slowly dissipated, as if ice met fire and slowly melted. Is this a spell? Surely it is not comparable to the martial arts of mortals. It seems that the thunder-shocking blade is of little use to him, so he can only choose to fight in close quarters. Kang Qian's eyes stared at the situation. His figure flashed at great speed, leaving behind a trail of residual shadows. His entire body instantly appeared in front of Wu Fei, and he slashed his blade straight down. This time, he did not emit a blade aura. Instead, he contained his power in the long black blade. Waiting until it touched Wu Fei, it would instantly explode, and he might be able to checkmate the enemy. However, Wu Fei was not an idiot. He stepped on the mysterious steps. His body flashed. His speed was not below Kang Qian's. Dodging Kang Qian's slash, and then swiftly counterattacked. Both sides went back and forth. Every collision made a deafening sound, and terrifying energy swept through the entire space. Seeing that the prolonged battle was unfavorable, Kang Qian simply threw down his long knife and wielded his overlord fist, instantly multiplying his strength. The crowd was shocked. The strength of both Wu Fei and Kang Qian was terrifying. They were definitely top figures in the young generation, second only to the Imperial Capital 4 and the Great Tang 7. Who exactly is this mysterious youth? His strength is so strong, someone said in doubt. Kang Qian's face was too unfamiliar for anyone to recognize. Perhaps it's a hidden cultivation family descendant. Haven't we heard recently that quite a few hidden cultivation family descendants have appeared, stirring up quite a storm in the youth generation? An old man said. This son's strength is good, but I'm afraid that he's not Wu Fei's opponent. We must know that Wu Fei is a young expert second only to the Great Tang 7. And now he's even formed the 5 turns of Qingdan. Even if he encounters an expert from the Great Tang 7, he'll still be able to have a battle. Most people still didn't look favorably on Kang Qian. After all, he was fighting over a level. The gap between the Jidan stage was not that easy to break, especially since Wu Fei was still a 5-turn Qingdan, which was far more than any other Jidan stage powerhouse. However, there was one person who didn't think so. She was Flower thinking wrong. At this moment, her beautiful eyes were staring at the battle in the arena. Every punch of Kang Chon's made her gasp in amazement. This kind of terrifying punching technique, if it wasn't for the gap between his cultivation and Wu Fei was too big, he could have defeated Wu Fei with a single punch. Wu Fei, who was in the martial arts arena, also had the feeling that Kang Chon's punches were domineering and extraordinary. Just like the huge waves in the sea, continuous and unceasing, sweeping the mountains and seas, continuously sweeping. If it wasn't that the difference between Kang Chon's true essence and his was too great, I'm afraid he would have lost a long time ago. Is this the strength of a 5th-turn Qingdan? It's nothing more than that. Kang Chon blasted his fist and laughed coldly. Wu Fei was indeed powerful, far beyond that black-robed man from the corpse-catching sect, but the Overlord Fist was a supreme divine ability, even though there was only one style. It was not comparable to the little spells Wu Fei had learnt. No one amongst the crowd outside the arena had learnt a divine ability, so naturally they could not recognize Kang Chon's fist. In fact, in the Great Tang Kingdom, there were very few cultivators who possessed a divine ability, and at least they were at the level of an old ancestor above the Yuanying stage. After all, every divine ability was very precious, monopolized by the major sects in the cultivation world. Others could only enter the sects to be able to cultivate it, which was also the reason why the Heavenly Tao sect's disciple acceptance ceremony would attract so much attention from the cultivation world in the Dotong country. At this moment, Wu Fei's spells were completely restrained by Kang Chon's Overlord Fist, and even if he performed heavenly means, he still could not get rid of being enveloped by countless fist shadows. The crowd outside the arena was shocked. At first they didn't realize how terrifying the Overlord Fist was, but as time passed, the Overlord Fist that Kang Chon was striking out became more and more formidable, and Wu Fei also turned from resisting it easily at the beginning to barely being able to resist it. What a terrifying fist! What kind of spell is this? Some of the older generation experts exclaimed in shock as they saw the gist of it. The entire martial arts arena was shrouded in the shadows of Kang Chon's fists. A terrifying fist force shook the sky, and the ground shook with its terrifying power. Wu Fei was forced to retreat step by step, and cold sweat involuntarily flowed down. Damn it! This is you seeking death. Feeling the immense pressure, a sinister light suddenly appeared in Wu Fei's eyes as light erupted around him, and a green-colored ball of light appeared from within his body, emitting a terrifying energy fluctuation. It's the inner elixir. Wu Fei is fighting for his life. The crowd outside the arena immediately exclaimed in shock. The inner Dan was the most important thing for a Jidan stage cultivator. Once it was damaged, it would cause his cultivation to regress or put his life in danger. Therefore, the crowd knew that Wu Fei was fighting for his life. Sword Blade Storm. Wu Fei's face was hideous, his eyes were malicious. Countless terrifying sword chi centered on him went out towards the surroundings. The destructive power caused the entire space to collapse. The crowd outside the arena retreated back and forth, but then they were relieved. This terrifying power caused the formations around the fighting arena to automatically open up, sending out a curtain of light that shrouded the fighting arena in it, in order to protect the crowds outside watching the battle from being injured. What a terrifying power! I wonder how that boy is doing. The crowd wondered in their hearts, as the entire fighting arena was enveloped by a storm of sword chi, the blazing light piercing the eyes and blinding the eyes, making it impossible to see the scene therein. The purple light of Wuxianrong's eyes emerged, staring tightly at the martial arts arena. A trace of surprise suddenly flashed in her eyes. Right at this moment, a roaring sound rang out, followed by the earth shaking. A silhouette flew out backwards from the martial arts arena and fell to the ground in a sorry state. "It's Wu Fei. How is it possible?" Someone took a good look at the wretched figure and immediately cried out in shock. The crowd was shocked one after another. "Young Fei, how are you doing?" A few young cultivators who were on good terms with Wu Fei hurriedly helped him up. "Good. I lost this time. Do you dare to leave your name?" A trace of blood spilled from the corner of Wu Fei's mouth as he struggled to stand up and said loudly in the direction of the martial arts arena, "Kang Tian." In the martial arts arena, the light dispersed and a figure full of domineering aura slowly walked out. It was Kang Tian,